As well as wondering what has happened to our summer weather this year, I'm also wondering where the long light summer nights are going. If you follow my adventures, you may recall that at the start of the year, I returned to my camping spot in Loch Etive, which I affectionately call the wee out-the-way bay. I intended using it a fair bit this year, so you may wonder what has happened, as I have seldom mentioned it since early spring. I have been using it, and enjoy being there even though it got trashed at the start of July, which I shall reveal in this video series. As a quick recap on the last time I made a video of the campsite, I put up 4 fence posts around the hallowed ground where I pitched my tent. The reason for the post was to stop some kyling coos trampling over the top of me as I slept in the tent. I'm not scared of the hairy coos, as they are very placid beasts, but they can be quite inquisitive, and I think they would check out what a tent was all about. My idea being that I could rope off the area at night if the coos were about. A week after I put the fence posts in, a few days of very cold but blue sky and windless days arrived at the start of May, so I couldn't wait to load up my small F-rib with camping gear, beer, food and water. I was as happy as a migrating cuckoo, heading for my camping spot in the promised land. Spring was arriving and I was awakening from my winter hibernation. I was looking forward to a year of watching the seasons come and go, of trees starting to bud, brooms starting to bloom, bluebells blowing in the breeze, and bracken growing as tall as trees. Spring's my favourite time of the year, as nature starts its new cycle of growth. I thrive in watching birds do their nesting thing, and bees searching for pollen and flowery things. Of course, it's still early May, so some of that is still a while away. But as I was heading up the loch, I couldn't help notice the yellow broom in bloom, and a few early leaf trees were showing a little spring green. However, the hills were still in winter colours. And then I was there, in my little patch of paradise in this peaceful place. I landed and happily unloaded the boat, lugging my stuff to the camp spot, and not long later I had my canvas home set up and chilling out in the cool spring air, slurping coffee and admiring the views, while listening to the silence of the stunning scenery. It was great to be back after long dark winter months, dreaming of days like this arriving again. Once settled in, I headed out in the boat again to try my hand at a sport of fishing. I'm not sure others would call it fishing, though, as I'm happy enough just to go slow, trawling a lure behind the boat. However, I was in luck and caught a small trout, around 12 inches long. It's legal to keep size. Unfortunately, the wind got up to save me catching any more, as I then turned back to shore to scoff my spoils, and very tasty it was too. Then the wind started to drop, and so did the temperature, so I went for a walk along the river for some exercise, and to keep warm. I sat for a while listening to the babbling of the brook and recalled warmer days when I went swimming in its cool pools. But it was way too cold for that this day. Then it was time to head back to camp and get the fire started. I brought some dry kindling from the house, as I knew the local logs would still be a bit damp, but I had no issues getting them to burn using the dry kindling. I then sat back and enjoyed my favourite campfire pastime of slurping beer and watching the world spin round. I spent a delightful 4 days just lazing around the wee out-the-way bay, sometimes fishing, sometimes relaxing, and other times just reflecting on inner thoughts. It felt great to be alive and kicking in this wilderness. At almost 70 years of age, not that my age means much in such a timeless place, a place many miles from my younger days, when I was too busy being married and bringing up kids to realise how relaxing and soul-soothing a remote place can be. It feels a lifetime away from my stressful working life, where all I thought was about was money and materialistic possession. It's mean little out here, surrounded by nothing but nature. Out here it's my health that matters the most. Unfortunately, I have it in abundance. I then went home, but 2 weeks later, in mid-May, another spell of good weather returned. This time I spent a fair bit of time watching the drones survey the area. They're full with some of the sights it saw, and they highlight just how beautiful and remote the area really is. I hardly saw another living person up here in the early part of the year. It was also one of the best Northern Light shows in many years and one of the nights camping. Sadly, I slept through it all, but I did video them from home the next time that I saw them. Unfortunately, there was a fair bit of light pollution from one of the neighbours' houses. The lights are certainly a sight to see. The month of May was quite a good month weather-wise, and my plan was to take the wee F-rib home, spend a couple of days getting a bigger Quicksilver 4.3 aluminium-hulled rib ready for its new season, and return to the wee out-the-way bay. It was now the third week in May, and I couldn't help notice the scenery was getting much greener. It was also getting warmer. Cuckoo's calls echoed around the hills as nature started to bring some life back to the area. I was living the retirement dream, heading for my special spot again in the promised land. I didn't have a care in the world, as there is none of life's pressures out here. Or so I thought until I met my new neighbours, and they started giving me grief. I'd no sooner landed when they appeared. A couple of large swans, and they were immediately right in my face as they introduced themselves to me. Normally, I would have been delighted to see them, and would have even entertained them if they had been friendly. But right from the word go, they showed me nothing but displeasure. I couldn't understand it, as it was not their nesting site, though I'd often seen them pass by in previous visits. Although I'm not scared of swans, I confess to feeling a bit intimidated when they reared up right in front of me. Necks outstretched, their beaks were level with my nose, so I was very wary of them. I had heard tales that swans' wings can easily break a man's arm, but I doubt that, as their wing bones are very light so they can fly. I can confirm that they do give a bruising nip with their big beaks. I tried to buy their friendship by sharing my lunch with them, but that just made things worse as they now came right up to the tent looking for me. I now had to run a gauntlet of big biting beaks every time they wanted to go to the boat. Then I discovered the best way to move them on so I could get into the boat without getting bit was to intimidate them back with my flying fury of flapping drone. Obviously they were like me, not scared of it, but they were wary enough to move on. I didn't put the drone in their faces though, so no birds or drones were damaged during these encounters. As mentioned earlier, a couple of weeks previously it was bitter cold, so I went to walk to warm myself. But now it was much warmer, so I went the same walk to clean myself and to cool off a little. When I previewed this clip, I got the shock to see how much winter blubber had accumulated around me due to comfort eating. It did inspire me to go on a diet, and I lost 14 pounds over the following month. Okay, I'm still a blubber boy, but I am happier with my weight now. I can be a big child at times too, despite my age. I couldn't resist sliding down the granite flume. In fact, I did it that often I had to come out as I was frozen. One of the joys of washing in the wilderness. Another joy is awakening in the morning to the sound of silence, and enjoying a peaceful breakfast knowing it's too early in the year for midges to pester me, then noisily slurping my caffeine-spiked drink while admiring the surroundings. Having enjoyed my breakfast and knowing I needed to get something for lunch, I went to the boat and started my little 3.2 auxiliary outboard. This is the first time it has been run since the previous year. 3 poles had it happily burbling away. I was going fishing for lunch and using a wee outboard to use up 5 litres of last year's fuel and premix. It lasts perfectly well over the winter season, but as it was now around 14 months old, I wanted to use it up, and couldn't think of a better way of doing it. Oh, what's this? Is it lunch? I cursed myself for being a bit careless with this innocent fish. I was also a bit sorry to see it was too wee to eat, so I let it go again to grow a bit more. That 5 litres of old fuel got me round the loch for 4 days. Wee outboard and tick over never missed a beat. Of course, it's well looked after. I do all my own servicing so I know it'll work flawlessly. I caught another trout on my way to the head of a loch, and this time it was keepable size. At lunch I landed and cooked it on the shore before rigor mortis had time to set in, and it was the sweetest tasting fish ever. I was also in the perfect place to admire the spring bluebells, which were now full bloom. Yup, it was a perfect day in my promised land. I'll end this episode here as I'm heading for sea again soon. I want to get ready for a new trip. This series will be continued on my return. If you're wondering what the yellow stuff is on the shore, it's the pollen from all the new growing plants. It gets blown across the loch and collects on the shore. Thanks for watching.